This is why you should be careful what you put in the mail. In 2015, a man was asked by his neighbor to collect his mail while he was gone for a few weeks. A few days later, a large package arrives on his neighbor's front porch. The man can barely lift it, but gets over to his garage where he accidentally drops it and hears something break inside. Hoping his neighbor would think the damage occurred en route, he closes his squeaky garage door and forgets about it. But over the next couple of days, whatever was in that package started to smell so bad that he decides to open it up. Inside were two very important finds: his neighbor, who was dead, and a camera that was still recording. The police bring the man in for questioning and show him what was on the camera inside the box. It starts with his neighbor talking to the camera about how excited he is to mail himself home for his YouTube channel. Then, police fast forward to the very end where they see that the neighbor is now sleeping in the box, and then suddenly gets dropped and you hear a crack, and that's his neck breaking. And then you hear a squeaky garage door close.
Let's talk about the most isolated place on Earth, Point Nemo. This tiny little dot is actually the space in the ocean that is furthest from any type of landmass. You are about 1,000 miles away from any form of civilization right here, which is kind of horrifying, and this place is also devoid of marine life. The only thing that can survive here is basically a bunch of microorganisms and bacteria, because this is in something called a subtropical gyre that forces out all sorts of nutrients. And what's even weirder is, even though there's no marine life, this area is where the mysterious sound, the bloop, originated from, which is really kind of creepy. Another important thing to note is the person who found this spot didn't even visit it. They had to use a computer simulation to find out what the loneliest place on Earth was. Another important thing to note is people in the International Space Station are actually closer to Point Nemo than people on Earth. And this is where we dump all of our spaceships and satellites. So it's a giant mechanical graveyard with nothing else in it.
She must have been out of her head. Here it is.
I know you belong to somebody new, but you know you belong to me.
This is the story of the 3 a.m. hitchhiker. There was a man named Jacob who left his house late at night to get some food. As he was driving, he saw a man stranded on the highway, so he said, I'm gonna get my food first and then I'm gonna pick him up on my way home. So once Jacob got to the restaurant, he picked up his food and he kept thinking about why would a man be standing on the highway at almost 3 a.m. So as he was driving back on the highway, he saw the man standing in the same exact place as he was 30 minutes ago. What happens next is pretty insane. He sees the man standing in a black hoodie. He then pulls over and asks the man if he needs a ride. The man replies, yes, just a couple of miles. Jacob then replies and says no problem, but had this weird eerie feeling like something was gonna go wrong. So as Jacob was driving, he kept feeling like he was being eyeballed by the guy. After about 8 minutes of silence, the man says, pull over right here next to the stop sign. The man then pulls out a knife and asks Jacob to get out of the car. Jacob then gets out of the car because he's told so. The man then takes off his hoodie, looks at Jacob and says, you always were the favorite son, and then commits suicide. Follow for more stories.